What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Tuffy Talk Live Show, y'all. We appreciate everybody joining in here with us. We're excited to roll, and as you might tell, we got a little bit of a smaller code today. As we only got myself, Lane Smith, and Michael Tracy here today. As everybody's running around. Lindsay got her wisdom teeth pulled, so she's healing right now.
You should have had her on. That would have been entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, she would have. Yeah, that would have been a treat for sure. And then Greg is in Hawaii on business, but he's also going to be there for the NC State versus Hawaii baseball series as well. Which, I mean, hats off to him there. I mean, for him to be able to pull off a work trip, just long enough and at the right time to be able to be there for the Hawaii baseball trip, that's pretty awesome. Very jealous there, no doubt. And then our guy Macon's busy with family, but either way, we still are going to have the Tuffy Talk live show no matter what. We are rolling here today. So with that being said, again, we have a ton to cover here today as we got the start of the in-state baseball season this weekend. We got softball just started back up. We got gymnastics, women's tennis pulling off some awesome feats over the weekend. Obviously got to talk about basketball on both sides, and then even some football stuff as well. So got a ton to get here to today. So Michael, any opening comments here before we jump in some tweets, bro?
I mean, no, not really. Like you said, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And baseball, softball starting. That I'm excited about. So we'll get into it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's jump on over some tweets of the week, y'all. Here we go. All righty. So our first tweet of the week is one that's more of a kind of just kind of a solidification overall of the NC State fanhood, but also too, it's a little bit of a talking piece. So a Big Game Boomer earlier this week came out with a list of his top 10 favorite college fan bases. So not the top 10 college fan bases, but his favorite top 10 college fan bases, and he had NC State at number 3, with Kansas State being number 1, Missouri 2, State 3, South Carolina 4, Virginia Tech 5, and that kind of rounds out your top 5. But the interesting thing is they got Syracuse. He's got Syracuse at number 9, which I think is interesting because I'll be honest with you that I don't know if I could probably count on one hand how many Syracuse fans I've met in my life. So I know he went up there for a football game over this last season, which is interesting because obviously now Syracuse is going to be rolling with a different football coach heading into the 2024 season. But I mean, this is more of a, obviously for us, we kind of took this more of kind of an opportunity to shout out to NC State fans, being like, I mean, for NC State community that is still sticking around now, even though it's been over 32 years now since we've won any kind of conference or national championship in men's basketball, football, or baseball. Like, that's a dedicated fan base right there. That is a fan base that loves NC through and through. And it always makes me laugh so much whenever like UNC fans come at us saying, like, for example, like Rob Cole, the wrestling coach, being like, oh, NC State fans aren't actual NC State fans. They're just wrestling fans that just became NC State fans. It's like, listen, there's no such thing as a bandwagon NC State fan. So we really just kind of took this opportunity to make that just solidified, being like, between, again, the drought and the fact that, again, why would you jump on as a bandwagon fan to NC State? Now, I mean, there's a lot of exciting things, but not necessarily something where it's like, that we're going to bring in all these people. I feel like,
Yeah. No, that's, I'll echo that. I mean, there's really no reason, to be a bandwagon State fan if you only follow the major sports. Of course, if you want to, all the other sports we dominate at, sure. But, in the context of this tweet, with Big Game Boomer, and, it's just a guy on Twitter, but he's, got a large following. He's been invited to a lot of places. A lot of schools have reached out to him. So, it's always good to see that, other people are enjoying our fan base.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, y'all, too, I totally forgot to say this at the beginning, but if you've been with us for just like in game at Infinite Hay here, as always, make sure any questions, thoughts, concerns, questions that you have, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we will get to all of them here today. But in game, bringing up a great point, and we've always said that VT is the NC State of the state of Virginia.
Very
and I
similar.
completely agree with that. And for the most part, too, I mean, they have phenomenal tailgating for football, and overall, they're a very nice fan base, a very fun fan base to be around for the most part. I mean, obviously, every fan base has those fans, and every fan base, for the most part, is passionate. Virginia Tech fans are very, very passionate about their sports, and just like NC State is. So, hey, if after the game they're talking some smack, hey, I mean, if they won, I can't blame them. So,
Yeah.
but they also know when to back it up. So,
Yeah.
anyway, though, but yes, aloha to Greg, and he's okay. The Infinite Hate asking what island are you on, and Greg said Oahu. So, yeah. But anyway, jump back to it though. So yes, Virginia Tech fans, big shout out there, and then obviously for my wife being a South Carolina grad, I definitely could show that same respect to South Carolina, because once again, what are you cheering for? Like if you're a South
Yeah.
Carolina fan,
Mhm.
how are you a bandwagon South Carolina fan? What have they had anytime recently? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have one division title
Football.
in the last 20, 30 years in football.
Yeah. They had a
And
couple of
their last
years where they won 10 games with Spurrier, right? A
Yep.
couple of years in a row.
Yep. But only one division title show for it.
Yeah.
Not even a conference title. So, and then basketball, I mean, I'd be surprised if their men's basketball coach stays after the season. So I mean,
South Carolina?
Yeah.
No, that's the guy they just got. He's the new one that got him. Oh, you mean because he's doing so well?
Because he's doing so well. Yeah, no.
I thought you meant the other way. I was like,
no, because he's doing so well. I'm gonna be surprised if he gets full play. So I mean, besides maybe women's college basketball, but
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's jump on over to our next tweet of the week here. Gotta give a shout out to our guy, man, Joe Tooney, now with 5 Super Bowl appearances in the last 8 seasons, and now he has 4 Super Bowl rings, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So which is now tied for the 3rd most of any non-quarterback, if I remember that stat correctly, of any player in the NFL. Now, keeping in mind that he's tied for 3rd, probably with a few hundred players in NFL history, but still though, it's awesome to see a guy like Joe Tooney, have now again 4 Super Bowl rings to his name, along with even just this season alone being named a first All-Pro. Like that's pretty big time for sure.
Yeah,
it's good to see it. So
yeah, I forgot he won one with the Patriots. I was thinking all with the Chiefs, but yeah.
Well, he won a few with the Patriots. He won 2 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So. Yeah. And then obviously he's won 2 with Kansas City now. So even though unfortunately he wasn't able to play yesterday due to his pec injury. And they definitely missed him.
Yeah,
for sure.
that list, I think it was all players, like including QBs. Tom Brady with 7, Charles Haley with 5, and then there's a bunch tied at 4.
Gotcha. Yeah. So perfect. Yeah. No, appreciate that, Michael. So it's kind of funny, like typically how like a list works like that when you have like a bunch of people tied, is that typically like the 3rd place, like AK and Joe Tooney's place would be with 4 rings. He'd be like basically however many have 7, which is Tom Brady, plus all the people that have 5, and then whatever that is. So he's tied for 342nd. But I think they're saying, well, that doesn't really sound as good, so we'll just say tie for 3rd. So at the most.
And if you have teams like the Patriots and the Chiefs, like all the players that were on that team are all tied with each other.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Nicholas, for pointing that out. Appreciate that. Anyway, but so so let us know in the comments, y'all. Who were you cheering for yesterday? I mean, obviously NC State wise, you had Joe Tooney on the and all right. This actually goes into another question here, but you got Joe Tooney on the Chiefs side, and then you got T.Y. McGill on the 49ers side. But I do want to ask everybody, let us know in the comments, and then if you're listening to this afterwards on Spotify or wherever, let us know, whether it's in a comment or DM, whatever. I'm very, very curious what everybody thinks. But do you consider Marquez Valdez-Scantling a Pac Pro? Because all of a sudden, a lot of different profiles are putting Marquez Valdez-Scantling hashtag Pac Pro, and I have a hard time doing that. Like, I don't know, just because for a couple reasons. You know what? Actually, You know what? I've talked enough. Michael, give me your thoughts first. Do you consider MVS a Pac Pro?
Um, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna claim him,
Okay.
but not in your traditional sense of he's not like a Wolfpack legend or anything, but
Yeah.
um, it's always fun to throw out there because he did play for us. How many years? I was trying to look that up. How many years did he play for
2 years.
2 years? Yeah, that's not nothing. That's 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
But Greg asked the question, "What's your criteria for counting them as claiming them?" And of course, that's a whole
Yeah,
another question that even goes more to the Russell Wilson, conversation
yeah,
of is it Wisconsin or a state. The biggest thing I think that I would say that's kind of the I guess the decision maker is that there's almost no way that MVS claims us whatsoever. Like he's he's
no,
he's he's 100% USF, and rightfully so. I mean, like at NC State, I mean that's where he started, but
mhm,
he wasn't that great at NC State. He really, honestly, started to find himself at USF. Now, whether that's because of coaching or location or whatever, because he is a Florida boy. So I mean, maybe being back in his home state helped him,
yeah,
kind of feel more comfortable. But I don't know. I mean, so I don't really claim him, but a lot of that has to do with that. Unfortunately, today I just remember all the drops he had, man. Like, oh my gosh, he led the team by far, almost doubled anybody else in drops in the 2014 season, and got absolutely just you know what's the term? Just lapped by Bo
yeah,
Hines. I mean, it was the Bo Hines show, and MVS was the afterthought. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, but either way, I mean, hey, sure, we'll claim him because yeah, we'll gladly say we have another NC State player that's won a Super Bowl ring and also score a touchdown yesterday in the Super Bowl. But
yeah.
I have a hard time claiming him. But Megan also adding a comment here saying solely because he transferred out without graduating and he didn't claim us as his school, which
Yeah,
I agree.
and it's different now with transfer portal than it was before. Um, if you're transferring out before the transfer portal, like that means you really wanted to leave that school because you had to sit out another year.
Sure.
So that's a little harder to claim that guy, especially when he didn't want to claim us. But yeah,
Yeah. No, which again, I mean, I can't necessarily blame him because I mean
yeah,
that he had by far his best years at USF than he ever did at NC State. But
mhm.
and then Nick kind of wrapping up saying MVS is a Pac Pro when it's convenient to me,
Yeah,
which is
pretty much.
exactly. Yeah, sure. We'll take it. Why not? But anyway, though, I wanted to switch on over here. Well, actually, real quick, any last comments here about Super Bowl, Tooney, Michael, before we change topics here?
No, it was a great game. Well, second half was great. First half kind of stunk, but
I know. I'll be honest with you that I'm honestly kind of done with NFL right now. I'm just, it's so annoying, man. Like I don't know. Like maybe it was a little bit of my feels, but I was definitely all Niners yesterday, and I don't know. Again,
yeah, Chiefs they're the new Patriots. I mean, 3 out of the last
they
5.
are. Oh,
Everybody's starting to hate them.
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt that I mean, again, I'm one of the biggest Tom Brady respecters and the appreciators that that you'll meet, but there's no doubt Mahomes is only a few years away from passing Brady as the GOAT, in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
statistically, he's already way ahead of where Brady was at this point of his career. He already has now what 3 Super Bowl
he's got
rings now, Mahomes.
3 rings, four appearances. The
4
one he lost was
appearances.
to Tom Brady.
Yeah, three, and then all 3 of those he was MVP, Super Bowl
Yeah,
MVP. So
yeah,
again, once he gets 2 more, and once he hopefully finishes his career top 5 passing yards and top 5 passing touchdowns and all that, he's going to pass Brady. But
yeah.
um,
You have to think.
yeah. And Endgame said it best. The Endgame is good TV, bad football, and it depends on what you mean by good TV. For me, I mean, uh, all the surroundings of Taylor Swift bug the crap out of me, but that's just me. Um, anyway, though, alrighty, so let's switch on over here. Let's talk some women's basketball, y'all. Obviously, kind of an up and down week that we just went through with the pretty tough loss to Virginia Tech at home in Rails Coliseum, but then went on the road to Pitt and just hand him a new
Yeah,
one, and and moved on. And so NC State went down still to only number 6, which I think is fair.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, kind of tell me, Michael. So, were you how surprised, how disappointed were you in the loss to Virginia Tech?
Uh, it was tough, but that was a third game in a row versus a ranked opponent. If I had to pick one to lose, it was going to be Virginia Tech, even though that was getting swept by them. But I'm never going to choose to lose against UNC. And then Louisville, they were sitting at the top of the standings, and we only play them once, so it's good to have that tiebreaker over them. And I think Virginia Tech still has something like 4 more road games against ranked opponents, so they have a really tough schedule remaining. So, yeah, I mean, it's always disappointing to lose, especially after that. It seems like a good revenge spot after the way that game in Blacksburg ended. That was one we should have had, so it felt like at home, we were going to get them. But, yeah, like you said, I think 6 is appropriate for where we are. But
go for it.
I assume we're going to say the same thing. Probably the biggest news out of this week was the Mimi Collins getting hurt against Pitt. So that's not good. I don't think there's been any word of how long she could be out, but it didn't look good.
No, it didn't look, and definitely a roll on the ankle. So you're hoping nothing like a high ankle sprain or anything like that. As that would keep her out for a month and a half, probably. So definitely into probably through, unfortunately, the ACC tournament. Hopefully, but at worst. But again, hoping for the best. Haven't heard anything. But again, I mean, if she's out, then we have a lot of depth, and they got to step up.
Yeah.
So Maddie Cox, is going to get more minutes. So it's time for her to bring it up, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm nervous, but I would say that it definitely, unfortunately, brings down the ceiling a little bit, as Mimi Collins has definitely been one of our all around players this season. Done it all.
She's like the perfect stretch 4. She can post up and then step outside and hit a 3, and we've got River Baldwin back, but she hasn't looked 100%. Since the way she was playing at the beginning of the year before she got hurt, so it's a little concerning. But just you got a couple more weeks left. I think with the loss to Virginia Tech, the regular season title is probably out of reach, just because we're now a game back from them, and they have a tiebreaker over us.
Sure.
And then you still got Louisville and Syracuse up there with only 2 losses. Hopefully you rest them up, get as healthy as you can for ACC tournament and NCAA tournament.
Yeah, just to kind of go over the standings real quick. So right now, VT is in first at 11-2 overall in the ACC. Syracuse is second, 10-3, and then NC State's 9-3. So we're a game and a half back from Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
But I mean, because they've played one more ACC game than us. So, I mean, like, this is kind of one of those things. And I was doing a little bit of thinking about it, that, like, this is kind of one of those situations where you got to kind of compare to the expectations. That at the end of the day, like, not necessarily preseason expectations, because obviously preseason wise, we were just like hoping we were competitive. And then once we saw actually how good we were, like, oh, okay, cool. And so I think that for me, it's kind of one of those things where Virginia Tech going into the season was by far, hands down, the favorite to win it all in the ACC. So if they take the regular season, I can live with that for sure. And because I'm sitting here saying, hey, we're going to Greensboro. Like, we go to Greensboro, and it's one game, and also too because of the fact that you hope that, okay, like, I'm disappointed that we didn't come out better the second time against Virginia Tech, but I gotta feel pretty darn good, again, assuming hopefully Mimi Collins will come back, pretty darn good that the third time's the charm, right? Like, third time's got to be the charm. The first 2 weren't. Third time's got to be, right? So that's my hope. Yeah. But as Greg said, got to focus on getting that top 4 in the double bye. That's priority 1, 100%. Which right now we are a game ahead of Notre Dame, who's in 5th place right now at 8-4.
And we've got a road game this week against them.
Against Notre Dame. Yep. So that's going to be a huge game, and
Yeah.
one that you would assume more likely that will probably be without Mimi Collins for at least that game. You would
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
So, so it's gonna be tough. And then you still got UNC at UNC and at Duke, and then you have
Mhm.
Syracuse at home to wrap up the regular season. So not going to be an easy schedule the rest of the way. But the one
No,
thing,
but
but, go ahead.
we did get lucky only playing Syracuse and Louisville. Only get both of them once and both at home. And
Mm,
that's two of the top 4 teams in the ACC right now as well. So
that's a great point. Yeah, and the other thing which I wanted to point out too is looking at the ACC standings is that really I see 9 teams that can make some noise in the ACC tournament. Mainly Miami, UNC, FSU, Duke, Notre Dame, Louisville State, Syracuse, Virginia Tech. So I mean,
yeah,
every one of those could
it's
beat
deep.
any one of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I
We've
mean,
seen it. Miami
yeah,
beat
beat
State,
up.
FSU beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be a great ACC tournament. I'm looking forward to the tournament. It's going to be fun. So and more too because it's obviously in Greensboro. So if you haven't gotten tickets yet, make sure to go and take advantage while you can. But there's going to be a lot of good basketball in Greensboro. So looking forward to it. But the other thing too, which I wanted to bring up here real quick, is this crazy graphic
yeah.
from Brienne from ACC Network listing her ACC favorites to win the ACC tournament, and she listed UNC, Duke, Syracuse, Louisville, and Virginia Tech. And I think we can all agree that the right 3, no problems with whatsoever. Yeah, sure, Syracuse, Louisville, Virginia Tech, they're all 3 in the top 5 ACC standings right now. But Duke and UNC, really? Like, I mean, even honestly more now. I mean, especially now that Duke has beaten UNC, more Duke than UNC right now. But I mean, UNC has
Yeah.
a loss to Virginia. Like come on, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's it's not a serious list when you leave
It's
state
not.
off,
Yeah,
but that's just like all 5 of these teams, they absolutely could win the ACC tournament. Like we
they
were just saying,
could,
it's just that the ACC is so deep. Yeah,
but I mean, even like Notre Dame. I'm taking a look back here right now because yeah, I mean, I guess I
yeah,
could see
Notre
what
Dame's
you're.
not on this list.
Well, and because I mean, UNC actually beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame
Yeah,
back on January 7th.
okay.
But but the other thing though is that Notre Dame actually only Notre Dame member beat UConn by 15,
Hmm.
and they're not
Yeah,
even a favorite to win the ACC tournament. Like, come on. So yeah,
yeah.
no,
It's not surprising to see to say that these 5 teams could win the ACC tournament, but it's
sure,
surprising to say that to not include the other 2 or 3 to put them
yeah.
over, State and Notre Dame.
Oh, totally, 100%. But yeah, nope. Yeah, as Greg said, Duke is the biggest head scratcher. 100% media bias, and don't ever expect an ESPN analyst to give any respect, and that's cool. Hey, listen,
Yeah,
it's a kept receipt, right? That's all we need. Just
yeah,
keep the receipt. So, but anyway, though, so again, looking forward to NC State going to Notre Dame here. What day is it? It is on Thursday, February 15th at 6 p.m. It'll be on ACC Network. Big game, a big battle to try and solidify that double bye. So, looking forward to it. But anyway, though, moving on to our next tweet of the week here. Real quick, wanted to give a shout out here to our guy, Gary Ariani, who is the captain of the NC State Ice Pack hockey team. That we actually had him on the show before the season to preview the year. And unfortunately, they got knocked out of the ACHL tournament in the semifinals with 3-2 loss to Rowan University. But he also this year got named the 2023-2024 ACCHL Player of the Year. So huge shout out to Garrett and this team, who I think has looked better, not quite to the level that we expect for the Ice Pack team this year, as I'm honestly not sure if they're going to qualify for regionals or not, which is kind of like their NCAA tournament.
yeah.
So hopefully they get another opportunity in the postseason, but I would say that it doesn't seem very likely at this point. But But anyway, hey, the worst comes worst. We didn't go out in the first round like we did to like UNC did, and us too. We also beat UNC 2 times out of 3, so
Yep,
that's pretty good. We'll take that.
pretty good.
So
And player of
yeah,
the year. That's really good recognition.
yeah, 100%. So look and build off him. But by the way, too, love those freaking jerseys. Those jerseys are
Yeah, those
some
are
of the
awesome.
best hockey jerseys of all time, and that's totally biased. But anyway,
Yeah.
so anyway, though, so let's move on over here to let's do some football here real quick here. So AC kickoff announced today, then July 22nd through 25th for the first time ever in the history of the ACC. We're going to have 4 days of ACC kickoff media coverage, split up from Monday through Thursday, July 22nd through 25th. Basically, the first day will be Commissioner Jim Phillips, and then Florida State, Georgia Tech, SMU, and then every other day will be 4 or 5 teams, with NC State being on the last day, July 25th, with UNC, Clemson, and Syracuse. But once again, it is crazy seeing California and Stanford
Yeah.
and SMU on this list. I still have not wrapped my head around it. I'm still not used to it yet.
And I thought it's just a funny graphic. The first day, Commissioner Jim Phillips, PhD. Like, why they have to put PhD on there? And then first up is Florida State. Who's trying to get out of the ACC. So I thought it was just like a little
ironic.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a good point. But yeah, in game football. Mr. Ten England, man, absolutely. But yeah, excited about that. And then the other thing, football related here, saw this graphic today. Who was the best linebacker in the 2024 NFL draft? And there's listed with Peyton Wilson, Jeremiah Trotter from Clemson, and some other guys. And and I think it was Todd Goebel, Coach Goebel, basically quote tweeted, was like, I mean, turn on the footage and Peyton Wilson's number one. And the one thing which I want to ask about this is somebody asked, what is the feedback so far from NFL executives or scouts, whatever it may be. And I don't know about you, Michael, but I've not really heard much yet. But honestly, I would say that any talk before pro day is just talk. I mean, like, yeah, I think that
they did the Senior Bowl, so and that's filled with NFL scouts and GM. So I think
that's true.
Now there's been at least a significant amount of feedback and enough to go off of that. If you Google mock draft right now and you get a recent one, I think it'll be somewhat accurate. But yeah, I mean, definitely after pro day and after combine, that'll definitely be a better idea. But everything I've seen, it's he's still in that second to third round range. I do think he's probably the best linebacker, but his injury history is going to knock him down. If he didn't have those injuries, he would have been probably easily a first rounder.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, no, and again, and that's a good point, especially too because of the fact that Peyton Wilson was so highly regarded at the Senior Bowl. I mean, there was I feel like there was clips all over the place, and I mean, he got interviewed after one of the Senior Bowl game practices, on TV. So I feeling good at the end of the day. He's a special talent, and again, if you can see him run a 4.5 40 with his size, with his strength, with his film, like. He's a slam dunk. Simple as that. He'll be a day 2 guy, no doubt about it. I would be surprised if he falls out of the top 3 rounds. I'll be shocked, honestly.
Yeah.
Like that's completely disrespectful. No way that guy should fall below the 3rd round. So, but Rusty asked a question here, Michael. This might be a little bit early, but who do you think will be favored in Charlotte, us or Tennessee? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's Tennessee, no doubt. The question will be how much will they be favored by?
Sure.
If I had to pick a number right now, I'd probably say 6-7 points. Tennessee, probably Tennessee by a touchdown. But that's week 2, right? So
correct.
We'll have a game against Western Carolina. I think they'll have a game. I don't know who they play, but I think it's a cupcake like us too. But maybe what we see from that affects it.
Well, the interesting thing is, so 24/7 came out with a way too early top 25 after signing day, and they have Tennessee at 11. They have us at 21. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I think
Yeah.
I'm thinking like 4 to 5 points, like a little bit more than a field goal, but not quite a touchdown. Is it would be my guess at the spread. So
Yeah.
that's my guess. But let us know in the comments, y'all, what you think. And again, a lot of it too's like like we're sitting here in February, but I mean, I know Rusty said that, but there's a lot that's going to change that. But that's just my thought right now, especially because the media drools over SEC, like the
Yeah.
so. But let's put it this way: that if NC State, if Tennessee's favored by less than a field goal, or if it's like almost a pick'em game, like that's screaming NC State. That is screaming
Yeah.
NC State because that is begging the bettors to pick Tennessee. That is begging them to
Right.
pick Tennessee. So, but anyway, though, and I actually totally forgot here, but we actually have one more women's basketball thing to get to, which is the announcement for Lisa Cunane getting signed by the Washington Mystics training camp, which is great. I think we all can easily say, I mean, for a player of Lisa's caliber, for the resume that she has, for the talent she has, like there's no doubt she belongs on a WNBA roster somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's unfortunate that she wasn't able to make a roster this past year, but I'm hoping that with a year overseas to kind of to build her game a little bit, she can come back and finally make some noise and get on a daggone roster. Like I'm telling you, if she can make a roster, I will watch a good bit more of Mystics games than I am any WNBA game right now. I can not saying I have
Yeah.
an issue or anything like that, but just I mean I don't have as much of a draw, to
Yeah.
watch.
There's no. Yeah. There's no connection to any WNBA team right now for us.
Not for
And
us.
but I remember we talked about this when it happened, but like it's crazy that she didn't make a team right
Oh
out of
yeah.
college. I mean, it's just the way the WNBA set up. There's not a lot of teams, not a lot of roster spots, so even the best college players don't make it. But hopefully, she sticks this time.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, no. So hoping the best, and Greg even adding, I'll have to go see her play in person, and yeah, for you especially. And I would love to see her play. That'd be awesome. To see her in a WNBA uniform. But last thing too, in games comments saying can't wait to get to July and hear NC State's win total be over under to be 6, and for UNC to once again be a dark horse college football playoff contender. Let's put it this way: if the
I,
over under is 6, I'm saying, babe,
yeah,
we're selling the
yeah,
house. We're gonna live with my parents for a few months, but I promise you, it's gonna be worth every penny. That is
yeah,
a smash.
yeah.
So
No,
yeah, but yeah, no, it's not gonna be
I don't
6.
think we'll have to hear that this year.
Like, let's put it this way:
If
I
anything,
think
it's going to be the opposite. UNC is going to have 6.5 probably.
it's gonna be anywhere between 8.5 to 9.5. If I have to guess, I think that's gonna
Yeah.
be what the over win total is. But
What was it in 2022? Were we
2022,
9.5?
8.5.
Because that was Devin Leary coming back, Drake Thomas coming back.
Well, no,
Was it 8.5?
yeah.
I think it was 9.5 that year.
Yeah, because I remember we just missed it by a half a game. Like we just
Yeah,
missed it. We just
yeah.
even with all the injuries, we were literally a half a game away once the regular season
Or
ended
maybe it was 8.5.
from
Yeah,
cashing the over. So, yeah, I think it was yeah 8.5. But
yeah.
anyway,
That's what I guess it'll be
so
this year.
yeah, that's thought. But one thing too, though, real quick though for football, and this is a shout out here. I want to kind of clip this actually, and give a shout out to Coach Coop here, man. Our friend from Miami who did a list, like one of those like ranking things or whatever.
I saw the
And
screenshot.
dude, like, all right, so I need to pull it up here real quick because it's downright disrespectful. But basically, and maybe Michael, while I'm looking up, you can kind of explain it a little bit more. But basically, he did like a list of like basically like contenders, favorites, pretenders,
Yeah.
trash, and basically like for every ACC team for 2024, he did. Okay, here it is. Yeah, he did basically put every team in one of those. So yeah, it's contender, pretender, worst, and trash. And the interesting thing, first of all, it actually stands out to me pulling up this list for the first time. Notre Dame's in trash. which am I missing something? Why is Notre Dame in
Notre
trash?
Dame
In
must not be
trash?
a Riley Leonard fan.
I guess not.
Which
But I mean,
I,
I think Notre Dame is going to be a
I
top
don't.
25 team, wouldn't they?
I mean, maybe, but I don't think Riley Leonard's going to be that
He's not
good
Sam
there.
Hartman. He's not Sam Hartman, but
Sam Hartman was way better than Riley Leonard, and they still went 9-3 with Sam Hartman.
oh yeah, I agree. But all right. Oh my God. All right. So he literally put in he literally put in contenders. He put Florida State at 1, Clemson 2, Louisville 3, and Miami 4, which I'm like, okay, all right, let's see, Miami. What have you accomplished? Again, hey, shout
Yeah,
out to Coach Coop. Love you, man. Hey, listen, I think there's a lot of hype with them. I think they have a lot of talent. But once again, what have they done with all that talent? Absolutely nothing. So put him in
the
contender. That's
the only benefit of the doubt I'll give him, and as a reason for real optimism for Miami fans is Cam Ward. He
right.
originally said he was going to go to the draft, came back, said he's going to go to Miami,
Yep.
and he was like one of the top 2, if not the top transfer QB in the portal this year. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's legit. So we'll see if they can put it together. But yeah.
But obviously coming to NC State, I mean, he put NC State as a pretender at the top pretender at number 5, which again, like I'm trying not to do exactly what he's doing. I'm trying not to be biased here, but
yeah, it's like, what does that mean though? Like they won't.
Right.
It's anybody that doesn't make the championship game pretender. I mean, if you finish 3rd place, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't consider that a pretender. I mean, that's still. Yeah.
But honestly, for me, like if NC State was 3rd behind Florida State and Clemson, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with 3rd.
Yeah.
4th, I can live with. But behind both Louisville and Miami, I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening. And again, with all of our coaching staff back, with bringing back a lot of guys from last year, Aiden White, Kevin Concepcion, with everything we've done in the transfer portal, I mean, offensive weapons all over the place, and especially now with the addition of the Auburn DB transfer, like we definitely have some depth now with the defensive back area. Still trying to do a little bit, potentially with linebacker and defensive line, but either way, you got Tony Gibson as defensive coordinator. We'll be fine on defense.
Yeah.
So, I just, again, with NC State, with the fact that we've done more over the last few years than we probably, were expected to, between us playing 4 quarterbacks in 2022, and with last year, just the talent gap was just not there. But yet, for both those seasons, we had 8 and 9 wins in the regular season. Like that's. But then Miami, you can't even freaking kneel a football to win a football game. But yeah, you think you're a contender to win the ACC? But anyway,
I mean, that's a good point. If your coach isn't going to kneel the game,
yeah, you're a contender for the ACC.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so whatever. All right, Andy.
The easiest play call in football, and he messed it up.
I know. So seriously. But Andy, guys, 199 days away.
Under 200, nice.
Less than 200. Let's go. We're excited. All right. So let's move on here. You know what, Michael? Do you want to bite the bullet here, or do you want to be a little bit more positive for now?
No, we can go ahead and do it. We can end on that.
Bite the bullet. All right, cool. All righty, y'all. So Wolfpack stats. Let's talk a little about of men's basketball here. So Wolfpack stats coming out with this interesting tweet saying, "I've seen a lot of quote unquote it can't be worse," and then he basically comes out with these 2 stats about NC State since Valvano is 235 and 331 in the ACC, which is a 41.5% win percentage in the ACC. And we've been to 36% of NCAA tournaments that we could have gone over those years. Under Keats, we're 62 of 64 in the ACC, which is a 49.21 percentage in the ACC, with 40% of the NCAA tournament appearances that we could have been to. And then he's saying it can be worse, a lot worse. State wasn't better than 6 and 10 in the ACC for 10 years. And listen, for me, it just comes down to 2 things. First and foremost, as I've said, and I've said both these before, I'll just remind everybody once again, at the end of the day, if Kevin Keats does not make the NCAA tournament, when he goes to meet with Boo Corrigan, what's his explanation for why next year's going to be better than this year? Like, what is going to be the thing? And don't tell me, McNeil, yes, he's a great player, but I don't think he's going to be that, Terquavian Smith
You
level
can't
guy.
rely on. Yeah,
You can't rely on him.
Yeah.
He can be. I mean, he's super talented, but I mean, Big T,
Yeah.
like that guy, you knew for a long time before he ever came to say he was going to be special. But again, he's injury wise, he hasn't really had any issues. I mean, DJ Burns, yeah, he's been banged up, but he's played most of the time. He's super deep. Just and then like ACC, I would say this year is strong, but it's not like it's not a fire. It's not it's not just like you're having to get through all these juggernauts. So that's my frustration is I'm sitting here saying, just like with football, like with Dorn, I always say with every program, I want to see over if you kind of group every like 2 to 3 years and put it together, are we moving upwards? Like, like I'm not going to say every season, like, okay, it's bad seasons happen, it's part of it. It's, it's all cool. But over the last 2 or 3 years, can I really say that the performance of the state men's basketball program is better than when he started, or even then the last 2 to 3 years of Gottfried era? No. I mean, I would say the last 2 or 3 years have definitely been a step back from the first 2 or 3 years Keats had. And then, I mean, unfortunately, again, I mean, you could bring up a Gottfried. He's, went to 2 Sweet 16s and, made most of the NCAA tournaments he could have gone to, which, because once again, when are we going to finally get over this daggone hump, man, of trying to back our way into the NCAA tournament? Because once again, like NCAA, making the NCAA tournament is last my problem. My first problem, once again, is just making it to an ACC championship game, which that'd be great. Give us opportunity to win an ACC championship. And then secondly, let's win a daggone NCAA tournament game, and we're nowhere close to that. So just frustrating. But
yeah. I mean, there's definitely going to be a discussion at the end of the year. State's got 7 ACC games left, 4 are quad 1, so you still have some opportunity there to win a couple of those and sneak in, but which then changes that discussion. Sure. It doesn't look likely, but it's still there. But yeah, I don't know. I think I've said it in the Discord, and I think some other people have said the same things, that if we're going to make a change at coach, it needs to be for a proven coach that's won at a Power 6 level.
Yep.
If we're going to go hire another mid-major up and comer guy,
it's not worth it.
That doesn't do much for me. I mean, I know it's sometimes the change is what you need to. You just need a change for change, right? But that's not always the best thing. But sometimes it's needed. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll have a better idea once the season is actually over and see where we stand.
Totally.
But
yeah. Well, and Andy, first of all, about the tournament numbers. So Keats is 2 for 5 in terms of NCAA tournament appearances. He's been here. This is his 7th year, but in his 6th. But so he's been here 6 years. But the 2019-20 season, there was no NCAA tournament. So he's only had 5 possible appearances, and he's been to 2. So, so that's where the 40% came from. Now, for the rest of it, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna trust Wolfpack Stats. He's usually pretty spot on with his stuff, so I'll trust him there. But yeah, no, I mean, looking at so obviously like NCAA tournament bracketology, we're nowhere even in the conversation right now, like last 4 out. But the interesting thing actually is that Wake Forest is actually a first 4 out, which I think is interesting because they're right now a quad 1. Their net is 35 right now,
right on the edge
quad 1.
Yeah.
So
They're playing Duke right now. I was watching the first half of that earlier. Looks like they're down
yeah,
7 with 5 minutes left.
okay. Yeah. But yeah, Andy, just like you said, like we should be making it every year. Like it shouldn't be a thought of like, are we gonna make a tournament? Like we should be making like that's where we
Yeah.
should eventually get as a program. Now we're nowhere close to that. We haven't been anywhere close to that for a long time. But once again, it's just like UNC and Duke, I
Yeah.
guarantee you, are not thinking about can we make the NCAA tournament. Now, are we ever going to be Duke UNC? Probably not, because then they're going to always put a lot more money into men's basketball than we ever do because we value football and a lot of other sports more, than necessarily funneling a bunch of money towards men's
Hmm.
basketball. But I mean, we should be competitive with Duke and UNC every single year. We should be in the conversation with them every single year. Like we should be there. Now, again, I know that is a crazy thought to think of right now, but I'm also saying, listen, like we said that once Coach K and Roy Williams retires, there's going to be an opportunity that opens up. And I'm still sitting here saying, with Hubert Davis as the head coach and John Shire as the head coach for Duke, that opportunity is 100% there right now. Like I'm not looking at
Yeah.
UNC and Duke being like, man, like we'll never catch up to those guys. Like,
No, I mean,
oh
UNC, they missed the tournament last year.
yeah, in an
And,
embarrassing fashion.
yeah.
And
And
and then
Duke this year is, I mean, they're still up there, but I think if they beat Wake, that'll be their first win against a team with a winning record in
in
the
the ACC.
ACC.
Yep.
So they've
Yep.
had some bad losses, Pitt at home, Georgia Tech on the road. It's just
Yep.
like those aren't games that I mean, Duke should never lose in Cameron unless it's to another top ranked team,
Yeah.
and we've seen that more and more often. So
Yeah, I mean, as Carson's saying right here, the thing that is most frustrating about this is the fact that the NCAA allegation is over. Exactly. So again, another thing he used to have an excuse of, he doesn't have that excuse anymore. And you're no longer coaching against Roy Williams or Coach K. If there's any time to take it back, it's right now. And we've said that there's an opportunity right now, and that's why we didn't want to fire Coach Keats even through the rough years, because we said if we fire him, we're starting all over, just like Duke and UNC are. And we'd
yeah,
like to
and
go for it.
you couldn't fire him before the allegations were over either, and that
Yeah.
dragged out probably longer than the administration probably thought. I mean, it was 5 years. I
Yep.
mean, that's crazy.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. No, but again, I mean, with the tradition that we have, with the facilities we have, with the fan support that we have, um, you know, we should be competitive. We should be towards the top tier of the ACC. Most years we should be, you know, competing for a Sweet 16. We should be competing for ACC title. That's where we should be. And for me, that's where the bar needs to be. And especially because, again, it doesn't help, unfortunately, for Keats, the fact that it's been over 30 years since we've actually, for men's basketball, over 40 years since we've won any kind of title whatsoever. Like, it doesn't help his case that, unfortunately, now we've gotten to that point where, okay, like, yeah, like per Wolfpack stats, things have been worse. But guess what? We got to take that step forward at some point, man. Like, especially now with the world of NIL, which just like Greg has said, like it's so easy with men's basketball to turn things around year one. Like, okay, let's go. Because and I also say too, Michael, I want to hear your thoughts. Unfortunately for Keats, it doesn't help either with the way that MJ Rice has gotten handled this season. Wouldn't you agree?
um
And let me kind of give a little
I,
context, because obviously for NC State fans, once you knew that MJ Rice was coming, you obviously were like, oh man, MJ Rice, baby, from Kansas, let's go. This guy's gonna like you're looking at the team and you're saying MJ Rice could be that guy, like that elite player, that guy that has moments
mhm,
to win us games this season.
yep.
And then, he goes and handles family business, which, rightfully so. Family comes first. Completely respect that. But then he's, working back. He's, getting back in basketball shape. Completely understand that. But then, he comes out in Reynolds Coliseum and has, he, freaking looks like that elite
Yeah.
guy that we were, that high ceiling guy we were expecting. And then he was a couple minutes here and there. And then all of a sudden he gets sat and redshirt for rest of the season. And so if you're an NC State fan, you're saying, well, right now we don't have that guy. MJ Rice, I feel like could have been that guy. He showed opportunity. He showed the ceiling to be that guy, but we don't know anything. Like again, like he never just he never gave information.
Yeah.
Like what was the problem?
Yeah, I think it goes back to whatever he was dealing with over the summer. I
Yeah,
don't think Keats was just redshirting him to redshirt him. I think
no,
there's
but again,
stuff he's working through, but it seems like he's still attending games, right? He's still sitting on the
yeah,
bench, so still engaged with the team, which is good. I mean, hopefully he can be a big contributor next year and gets that redshirt back or
yeah.
gets that year back from redshirting.
Well, again, I mean, he's already transferred once. So if he transfers again, he has to either go like, was it, basically non-power five or something like that. He could go
Yeah, yeah.
the Diamond Johnson round, go to,
Mhm.
a smaller school like that and then transfer back if he wants to. But, that's going to be rough. But again, my thing is not necessarily that I have a big issue with it, but unfortunately for live and state fans, it adds to the fire of frustration, being like what could have
Yeah,
been and why is it this way?
what could have, yeah. Same thing
Exactly.
with
It just doesn't
Robert
help.
Dillingham and yeah.
Yes, it doesn't help his case.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're looking at right now, NC State's number 80 right now in the net rankings, 15-9 overall, 7-6 in conference, which is also a huge kick in the nuts, being that, I mean, it was what, a month and a half ago, we were, battling for first place in the ACC, and
Yeah.
and here we are in the middle of the ACC. We're 0-6 in quad one, 4-3 in quad two. And then at the end of the day, looking at the rest of the schedule, we have 4 quad one opportunities. We go to
Mhm.
Clemson on Friday. Then we have at UNC, Duke at home, and then at Pitt. Like, if we want to make the tournament, like I'm saying, you got to
I
win
think
3 of those to feel you have a realistic chance. 2 of those, like,
two of those,
you have
then
a
you
shot.
need Wake or Virginia to get back into the top 30. So those games count
Yeah.
as a Q1 because that's
Right.
2 extra games you could have. They're both right on that edge.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think I think you got to beat Clemson on Saturday because that's a
This Saturday.
Q1. If you don't win that one, then you're looking at having to beat UNC and Duke. Like that's
Or
tough.
Pitt. Yeah.
And
But
or
at Pitt.
Pitt. Yeah.
At Pitt.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
But I'm saying,
Again,
yeah, I think to get 3 quad one wins, you would have to beat UNC, Duke, and Pitt back to back like that, and that's basically impossible. So if you can get this one at Clemson this week, then you probably only need one of UNC or Duke, and then you definitely still need that Pitt game. But that's a winnable game.
and all of that too, obviously including in that is you can't slip up against Syracuse, Boston College, and Florida State. You can't lose one of
Yeah.
the 3. You got to
Yeah.
win all 3 of those. You got to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, definitely right now we are 100% on the outside looking in, and which is super frustrating for sure with all of the expectations and hype, for this season with the amount of playmakers we had, the depth we had, the returning players we had, Casey Morcell and DJ Burns. And I mean,
That
again, go for it.
that's the biggest thing. I think those
Oh,
two have
100%.
definitely, they definitely underperformed. They were what, 5th year, 6th year seniors. Those are just
Yep.
The guys you expected to take over, and they've been decent, but you need those guys to be your star players, and they just haven't been.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. Keats, unfortunately, in his 7 years now, he's not been able to develop players. He just hasn't. There's not been really a guy
Yeah.
I can think of that stands out to me that over his years at NC State, he took giant steps.
Well, I think Sebron and Turquavion. I mean, they both left after their sophomore years and are in the NBA. I think those two, but
I would
not
say,
on a consistent basis for sure.
but I would say too, though, with Jaquavian, I mean, you look at his second year, how inconsistent he was. That the ceiling that you saw from Big T, I think you also saw that his freshman year. Like I'm just saying, you haven't seen a guy take a significant step. I feel like, which is frustrating. It's just like with a guy like Burns, like you saw him at this offseason saying, he lost all his weight, he lost 30, 40 pounds. And he's taken a step back. Casey Morcell, who's been a part of the team now for what, 3 or 4 years now,
Yeah.
this might be his worst season yet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which again, Casey Morcell's my guy, man, but he's been frustrating, and Burns has been frustrating. The fact that we're looking to Diarra now and Ben Middlebrooks, honestly, probably as much, if not more, than we've looked at Burns in terms of getting him involved in basketball games. It's frustrating, man, because you knew going into the season that DJ Burns needed to take a step forward. You needed Casey Morsell to continue to be that sharpshooter, and then you needed guys besides, unfortunately now just DJ Horn, step up. I mean, and because Jay Taylor's
and
been
he's been awesome. I mean,
DJ Horn's been great,
awesome, but you can't win with just one guy.
Well, he's not that guy. He's not that player that I myself can win the game for us. Like he's a really good player, no doubt about it. Yeah. But he's not that guy like a Big T that can just take the game in his hands and just run away with it. I mean, and again, like I'm not looking at, hey, listen, at the end of the day, with the Wake Forest game, there was other opportunities for us to win that game. But unfortunately, I mean, the ball was in his hands and he wasn't able to make a play, which again, not going to put that loss on him whatsoever. But, if we're going to talk about DJ Horn being that elite guy, he's got to have moments like that where he comes through and wins us a game like that. But again,
and Burns had a chance too, and he missed it as well. So it's
exactly.
You gotta have somebody.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, y'all, again, just frustrating for sure. But once again, got Clemson coming up here on Saturday, so you got basically almost a week rest. And then you got a tough stretch, basically going back to back with Syracuse, Boston College, Florida State, and then you wrap it up with UNC, Duke, and Pitt. So we'll see, but definitely outside looking in, definitely need a hot stretch here to wrap up the season if we want a possibility of NCAA tournament appearance. So real quick, I got to give a huge shout out to women's tennis, man, who pulled off a huge and great upset over the number 1 ranked UNC Tar Heels in the ITA Indoor Championships with a 4-3 win. It was an awesome match to watch for sure. And just a little bit of stats is that UNC has been to 9 straight semifinal appearances for the ITA Indoor Championships, and they've won 4 straight ITA Indoor Championships. And so both of those streaks were snapped by NC State back on Saturday night. So, I mean, I've said it before, between women's tennis, now, I mean, making it to a national championship appearance last year combined with what they're already doing this year, and men's tennis pulling off a huge upset at number 2 South Carolina. Like, I'm telling y'all, like every single event, men's or women's, is free to go to. Most of the times they actually offer you like free pizza, free biscuits, like they're begging you to come. And yet both these teams are top 20 teams in the country. Like, so go support them, y'all. Please go do it.
Yeah, they're really good. The tennis national championship that I was at last year, I mean, that was great. That was exciting. So I think the women ended up losing to Michigan on Sunday, I believe, in the semifinals.
Correct.
But it was still a great outcome of that tournament.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, and then switching over real quickly to something which, is another UNC loss that NC State got to hand them. Got to give a shout out to NC State Gymnastics, who Sunday afternoon at 4:00 handed UNC a dominant loss with the score of 196.725 to 194.925. So won by about 1.8 points, which again, for everybody who doesn't follow gymnastics, is huge. That is a lot.
That's pretty big.
That's
anything more than what, a point, a total 1 whole point is kind of pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like more than a half a point. It's like, man, okay, like that's pretty significant. But like anything more than a point and a half, is like, dude, you got donkey stomped, as Greg loves to bring up that to say. So and there's no doubt, because just a kind of FYI too, in terms of how does top 25 rankings work for gymnastics, it's basically all about math. So basically it's a combination of your best home scores combined with, like, I think 3 of your best away scores, and basically you add them together, you average it together, and then you just rank it, whoever has the best score to lowest. And typically 196.5 will get you around 20 to 15, give or take, in the rankings. And so unfortunately for NC State, what they've been basically doing is trying to put enough strong appearances in a row to basically get rid of those first 2 gymnastics meets versus Georgia, when we got like a 194, And
Yeah.
then the next week, when we went to Washington, and we got like a 195. So, but every single week ever since then, we've gotten at least a 196, and for the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row, we've gotten at least a 196.5. So we're
Yep.
going to be in the top 25 after this season. So, NC State will face Clemson at Reynolds Coliseum Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So another ACC matchup. So make sure y'all to go and support these girls. Make plans to be there. As again, just like who was it? Yeah, North Wolf was saying, gymnastics needs more support. 100%. Like this team, I've said, is special. They're going to do special things this year. They're 4-0 in the ACC right now. So go support them with another huge ACC matchup here on Saturday afternoon. And Carson saying a fun thing about going to tennis is all the matches happen at the same time, so you can go back and forth and support as many players as you can. Yeah, there's a lot of action to watch.
Yeah.
So make sure to go and support all these sports. And another sport I got to give a shout out to as well. Let me go find it. Got to give a shout out to our new softball coach, Lindsay Leftwich, for getting her first ACC, her first head coach win, and the first win in NC State over Missouri State. I think it was 5-4, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
back on
That's all right.
Saturday. And again, we went 2-3 on the weekend. But again, the first thing which I'll say is, I mean, Lindsay Leftwich, she spent, I think, over 10 years at LSU as the basically the associate head coach at LSU softball. She has, I mean, and like she wouldn't be there for that long and have that title if she wasn't a key part to LSU softball program success. And we're talking about LSU program that has multiple women's college World Series titles to their name, multiple appearances. And so for me, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when NC State starts to get up to that competitive level of competing for top 25, rankings and, ACC championships. We're going to get there. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Just got to give her time. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised this season if we make a lot of noise in the ACC. I still 100% stand by that. But again, not really much of a shock that coming out of the gate, a little bit of rust there. But again, it's first weekend. Let's see where we go from there.
Yeah.
So, and then Carson brings up wrestling versus top 10 Cornell on Friday night, 100%. So, again, y'all, so you got wrestling Friday night against Cornell, top 10 team in the country. And also, too, it's interesting because Nick Wisdowski, the former two-time national champion for NC State, is an assistant coach for Cornell. So, again, a whole lot of headline stuff there. So, make sure to come and get there for wrestling, 7 p.m. Again, tickets are like $12 a piece, so not that it doesn't cost that much, and you're going to see a lot of great wrestling. So make sure to come make plans for that. And then lastly, too, I got to give a shout out to NC State cross country. Actually, a freshman phenom right now, and Angelina Napoleon, who actually broke the school record in the 800 meters with a time of 2 minutes and 6.79 seconds. So again, I mean, anytime you break a school record, especially with some of the things that have been happening with that women's cross country and track program over the last few years, it definitely stands out. So again, we'll see more about what Angelina and this team can do this year, but excited to see something like that, like a school record get broken. So any last comments here, Mike, before we wrap this up, bud?
I had one thing. Now I'm forgetting. Oh, baseball. Baseball starts this week.
Yeah. Baseball this weekend. Duh. Jeez, yeah. Got so wrapped up in all the others. Again, there's a ton going on for NC State right now. It really is awesome.
VCU, right?
What, this weekend?
Yeah, I believe that's who we're playing. VCU.
VCU. Okay. I am sure with others were like ECU. What? Yeah, no, VCU. Yep. It's actually interesting too because on Friday softball plays at home in their first game at home. Friday at 11, then baseball plays at home against VCU at 3, and then wrestling's at 7. So like you could literally spend a full day watching NC State sports on Friday if you want. So, but yes, no VCU first game Friday at 3:00, but then Saturdays at 2:00, and then Sunday is at 1:00. So yeah,
I think since we did the last live stream, the Matt Wilton news.
That's right. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
So
which I honestly think I didn't even like tweet anything about that because I was just I that hurts for sure. That
yeah,
definitely stinks. But like, but we also said, during our preview with Gino Groover that this is one of the deepest pitching staffs that
yeah,
we've
yeah,
ever had. So, even though Matt Wilson's a guy who's been your multi-year starter, weekend starter,
yeah.
what you get from him. I mean, at the end of the day, it's next man up,
Opportunity. Yeah, yeah,
next man up. Let's see what we got. So,
yeah.
and,
So it'll be
and again,
interesting to see the weekend rotation now because
yeah,
I think at least for me, I kind of had penciled in Fritton Friday, Wilson Saturday, and Highfill Sunday, but
yep,
no Wilson on Saturday. Do you move Fritton to Saturday? You move Highfill up, and then who's the third guy? So it'll probably be
yep,
somebody, one of the transfers, I would imagine.
yep,
Uh,
yep.
So
But the one thing to keep in mind, at least, is that right now it's not necessarily confirmed that he's out for the season, right? It just says
right,
indefinite.
yeah,
So,
indefinitely.
which I mean could mean a couple months. It could
Yes,
mean the whole
yeah,
year. We don't know,
yeah.
So, fingers crossed. And did they say what kind of injury it was? Shoulder injury?
Um, elbow, I
Thinking?
think.
Elbow?
UCL.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Jeez, that's the worst. So it obviously his throwing arm, which is so but anyway though, I feel like that was a stupid comment because yeah, of course it's his throwing arm elbow, duh.
Catching arm.
Yeah, his catching arm, really did a number on that elbow UCL anyway. All right, but yeah, so again, y'all, so in-state baseball starting up this weekend. Very, very excited about to see what this team can do. We get a VCU series here this weekend. You got wrestling on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, as they actually go to Duke on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock as well. And then you got softball at home in the series this weekend. You got gymnastics Saturday afternoon. So again, y'all, you got a crap ton going on. So please make sure to go and support all of our sports, along with still men's and women's basketball. Stick through it here with men's. Let's see what we can do. As we still got a couple of
Yep.
huge games left here on the schedule, and let's see if we can make some noise. And then for us, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And again, for us, if you haven't already, do us a big favor and hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button. Make sure to give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever that may be, please do us a big favor and leave us a 5-star review. And we greatly appreciate that as well. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. And go Pack, baby. We'll see y'all soon.